Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Trevor. Very grateful to have you here. And today's video, I'm going to be doing a recap of my weekly fragrance rotation from the 15th of April to the 22nd, 2024. Starting off with Monday here. Reached for this one, first time wearing it, have had it, got it at the beginning of spring, waiting for a good time to bust it out. Felt like it is a more citrusy take on the Vetiver note. It ends up being a clone of Guerlain's Vetiver. This is Roja's Parfum Cologne Vetiver. This is a lot more mass appealing and easier to pull off than the Guerlain, I would say, because it's lacking a lot of the depth from myrrh and tobacco, which is present in the Guerlain. So I think this one is a lot more palpable for a lot of noses. However, I still prefer the Guerlain to this one. It was a really enjoyable wearing experience. It's very sparkly, bright, effervescent, and grassy. Really matches the color tone of the bottle here. I was wearing it out and seeing a lot of the dandelions appearing in the meadows where I'm living at, and this gold cap kind of reminds me of those dandelions popping up out of the green grassy fields. That being said, I did not get the best performance out of this one. It is a cologne concentration, cologne parfum concentration, so it's more like an eau de toilette in some regards, if you're familiar with the terminology, but overall I felt like the lack of depth and the lower performance, meaning this is going to be a secondary grab for me behind the Guerlain, but maybe worth sampling and getting your nose on if you're interested in, if you smelled the Guerlain but felt like it was a little bit too old school for you, this might be a good one to go for. Again, like I said, high quality, enjoyable wearing experience, just had to reapply throughout the day. So that was Roja's Vetiver Parfum Cologne for Monday. Tuesday is a fragrance that I got a compliment on multiple times from multiple women that I worked with. This is Masculin Pluriel from Mason Francis Kurkdjian. You can find these for just under $200 at certain discounters. I think I got mine from Olfactory LLC. It's a discounter, niche discounter, kind of like Venba, which I also think carries this at right around that $180 price point. That being said, this reminds me in the opening of a niche version of Versace Dylan Blue. It has this very nice, almost watery shower gel vibe in the opening, and then it dries down into really nice woodsy barbershop style fragrance, a little bit of that shaving foam vibe with a woody textural feel, I want to say. Really well done lavender, however, and like I said, this is one of the more mass appealing fragrances in my collection and in the rotation this week. Have rarely worn this one out without getting complimented on it, and I think, like I said, it does have that almost blue style mass appeal going on in the opening in a shower gel fresh kind of way. At least that's how this and the lavender in here comes off to my nose. So that was Masculin Pluriel by MFK for Tuesday. Wednesday, it was, I think the weather for the most part, Tuesday and Wednesday was kind of a little bit overcast and not quite cold. It was still kind of warm, I want to say in the higher 50s and 60s, but still a little bit of that rainy vibe. Most of that was the weather for the week, and I think this is a perfect fragrance for that occasion. This is Prada Luna Rossa Carbon, a somewhat of a take on Dior Sauvage, the eau de toilette. The lavender in here is done really well. This one also brings to the table a little bit of that charcoal style feel to it, hence the name Carbon. It does have this earthy, ashy, rocky textural feel, like a powdered rock, like a coal going on in here that makes it almost reminds me of like a carbon fiber hood on a car in some sense, the sort of color scheme and textural feel that this one offers, alongside that beautiful Prada soapy vibe that only Prada does in the way that it does do it. And overall, as you can see, I have enjoyed this fragrance quite a bit. I luckily have a backup bottle to break out when this one is all gone, but it is a really versatile, easy to wear, go-to spring fragrance for me. So that was Prada Luna Rossa Carbon for Wednesday. Thursday, it was, again, like I said, a little bit of that rainy atmosphere, but still warm out here in the springtime. Hommage à l'Homme from Lalique was what I reached for on that day. Shout out to Jeremy over at, forgot his channel name, spelling off the chain though, Jeremy. He was on a live stream with Mikey over at I Smell recently. He said that he'd been reaching for this one and inspired me to go ahead and bust this one out. Really beautiful floral violet leaf in here. It reminds me as if you took the violet scent profile and turned it into a Sour Patch Kid or a gummy bear. It does have this almost mouth-watering, tangy, fruity vibe going on with the way that the violet is done in here, alongside of some very nice musks, some woody notes, and a little bit of pepper. Very unique fragrance, very elegant fragrance, sophisticated. Sits very close in terms of its projection. It's rather intimate, but it does last a good 6 hours, I want to say, and one of my favorite signature fragrances from the house of Lalique. Sad to see that it's gone. You can still sometimes find it for a decent price online. Wouldn't pay more for 100 though, but if you see it for less than that, I would recommend picking this one up. This is Hommage à l'Homme from Lalique. Beautiful violet fragrance. Okay, Friday. Friday is when I like to wear niche fragrances, and it was a little bit chillier on Friday, but still very sunny, and this one I think does a good job in those environments. It's got a right deal of heft to it with a really prominent oak moss in here that carries it through the cold weather, but the overall tonality of the fragrance is very uplifting, vibrant, and perfect for a sunny day. This is Mousse Illuminee from Rogue Perfumery. Illuminated moss is what this translates to, and it really does have that golden, almost light filtering in through the canopies of the trees style, vibrant, golden, light feel to it. The illuminated quality of the presentation in the name matches the juice in the bottle. It is very much a nice, sparkly, almost, I don't want to say fizzy, but it reminds me a little bit of a lemon lime soda. There's not quite any citruses in here, but there is, I believe, some osmanthus resin in here that gives it that kind of sparkly kind of vibe going on. Sometimes resins, particularly frankincense, can give me that cola style sparkle to it, and this one does a really good job of that, along with some white florals. Gives it a little bit of this shaving foam creamy vibe going down into the dry down after the rough sort of presentation at the opening with the oak moss. One of my favorite green fragrances in my entire collection. Rather affordable too. I believe you can get a 30 ml of this for $85. I think that's going to be enough to last you through a good portion of a spring season if you were looking to get this one, but otherwise sample it, as it is a little bit teetering on that old school scent profile. But again, one of my favorite green fragrances in my entire collection, and while I didn't get a compliment this week, it has pulled me compliments from women, multiple women before in the past. So that was Mousse Illuminee from Rogue Perfumery for Friday. Saturday was, again, another one of those somewhat rainy, drizzly style atmospheres, but still warm out, and I think this is a perfect warm, rainy day fragrance for the spring. This is Dior Dune, and this is the newest formulation. You can tell if it's an older bottle because it will say Christian Dior here instead of just Dior. So I haven't smelled the vintage formulations, but as far as this one goes, I think it's still a really great scent profile. Probably just need to go ahead and spray a little bit more than usual, go a little bit heavy on the trigger. It's very inoffensive, so you can get away with spraying as much as you want. Perfect for the office, which office style fragrance are really my favorite grabs for the month of April, because for the most part the outdoors in this month, at least where I'm at, are very much room temperature. So you just have something that's really great and inoffensive. It has a very dry quality to it, but it also is juxtaposed with this slight watery nuance. It's not a seawater, salty type of oceanic watery accord, but more of a dewy, springtime, fresh water, something dripping off of the gutters style accord. It does have a really nice green fig vibe going on that carries it and gives it that color tone of maybe a very bright, light forest green style scent profile. And it's just very dry also. It's almost as if there was some type of green rock, like a peridot or something of that nature, ground up into a fine powder, into a sand. A green sand is kind of what this evokes for me a little bit as well. Maybe a green fig oasis, something of that nature, because it does have a deserty vibe, hence the dune, in the terms of the way that it is very dry, but it also has this oasis sensation going on with the slight watery nuance and the fruity fig sensation. Really beautiful fragrance though. I had a hard time picking a fragrance on Saturday. I was hanging out around the house and just the weather was in such a pattern that it was hard for me to really grab something. I don't think I put anything on until maybe like 2 or 3 in the afternoon that day, but this one just hit the spot, and I just was enjoying the waft so much, wafting around as I was hanging out around the house with the kids that day. So Dior Dune was my scent of the day for Saturday, and probably my favorite wearing experience, I want to say, because it just made me feel so enveloped and harmonized with my environment on Saturday. So, and then finally for Sunday, we had this fragrance right here, Loewe 001 Man, and this is kind of like a, I want to say, lemon pastry flanker to Dior Homme. It has the same scent profile as the original Dior Homme, that powdery, almost irisy style floral sweetness with some woods in the base. But this one goes into more of this lemon tart vibe in the opening. I think there's a lot more citrus in here than there is in the Dior. This one has a chalky or dusty style texture as well, instead of that lipsticky cosmetic kind of vibe that the Dior has. All in all, I think this is a really beautiful white tee shirt fragrance. I think you can wear this in the transitional periods moving from the summer into the autumn, as well as the spring into the summer. This is where this one's really going to shine the most. Very much an underrated brand. I have a few from Loewe, and this one was just a comforting scent to wear on Sunday. It was quite a bit brighter, about room temperature, high 50s outside, but the sun was beating. There weren't really any clouds in the sky. Was wearing a white tee like this, hanging out in the backyard, playing with my daughter while my son took a nap. And this just made me feel extremely clean, but also enveloped in a certain type of soft sweetness that would scratch an itch in the same way that a gourmand would. So like I said, like a lemon tart pastry, some of them that you can get at Starbucks from time to time, or other bookstores. I think Barnes & Noble sells them, at least where I'm at, my local one. Just the lemon square with a little bit of that powdered sugar on top. That's how it opens up with me, and then it gets into that more sort of pastry, dusty vibe going on. Flour, almost like a dry flour in terms of the dry down. Very elegant, very enjoyable to wear, and is what I would recommend picking up for this spring season if you can't get a hold of Dior Homme Original, which if you can, grab that one, but this is a really awesome alternative with a slight citric twist. And that was my entire fragrance rotation for this past week here in April. Let me know if you've tried any of these in the comment section down below, as well as what your weekly rotation was. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.